Coming up on CTV News, flooding issues in parts of Christchurch and a major fire in Addington. Welcome to CTV News, I'm Rob Cope-Williams. Fire broke out in Middleton just after midnight last night. The building was unable to be saved, adding another building to the list of buildings destroyed in Christchurch. An investigation is now underway. Emily Cooper has more.
3 firefighters have been taken to hospital after battling a fire in Middleton last night. A floor of one of the buildings at Trimble's Navigation's 2 buildings collapsed as fire services were battling the blaze. A new ceiling had been just installed in the leased building, and the company were only 2 or 3 weeks away from using the first floor again after the quake in February.
Got a text message from the fire brigade at 12:29 to say there'd been an activation, and then I got a phone call from the security firm a wee while after that to say that there was an actual fire and would I come down to the property. I was probably down here before 1 o'clock this morning, and the building was ablaze, and there were probably 5 or 6 fire engines at that stage. There were 10 fire engines in total. They had a snorkel, and it probably took about 2.5 hours to get under control. And the building's pretty well gone.
The fire on Birmingham Drive is reported to have started just after midnight. The first floor collapsed at about 2:15 in the morning. It's believed more than 40 firefighters and 10 fire trucks worked for several hours to control the blaze. It's not known what caused the fire.
They're treating it as a crime scene at the moment, but they haven't had a chance to work out what might have caused it.
Around 240 people work for Trimble Navigations, which produces GPS technology.
The second building is probably okay, but of course our servers and all our computer infrastructure is in building 1, so while they can get into that building, they can't do any productive work, and so I've opted not to have people on site for the rest of this week. I'm hopeful that we will get building 2 such that they can come back to work on Monday, but it's early days yet.
The firemen were taken to Christchurch Hospital, and 2 have since been discharged, while the 3rd man is in a stable condition. Fire crews were still at the scene at 7:30 this morning.
Residents in Heathcote Valley have joined together to express their concern about flooding on their property since the February quake. It's estimated about 100 properties have been affected by groundwater coming up around homes and gardens. Samantha Rurley reports.
Heathcote Valley used to have a community garden. Now locals are calling it the community duck pond. Groundwater has been seeping into many properties since the February earthquake, but drains running through the valley have been unusually dry. Residents have held meetings about the problem and are mapping affected areas to figure out what's causing it.
We think there's a range of inputs, if you like, of water into the valley. We've got springs, we've got drains, we've got backed up water pipes with sediment, and there's a lot of concern in the valley that if it's like this in April and May, what's it going to be like in June, July, August, when we really get a lot of rain?
Though the fresh water doesn't smell, it's still causing plenty of complications for homeowners already dealing with earthquake damage.
Well, for instance, at my house I've got water pooling around the concrete foundations, and I can actually see the water being drawn up into the foundations, and that worries me because I'm wondering what's going on under my house. And other neighbours, like at Judy's place and in Steadley place, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
There are houses with water under them, and we're concerned about the health of people who are exposed to that sort of moisture, and also what's it doing to the house.
Residents say they've contacted authorities, but feel they've been put in the too hard basket.
The City Council are unsure where it comes from. They're inclined to think it's natural springs that are popping up through the valley. If it is, they say that is the responsibility of the actual homeowner to get rid of that water. But our theory is that if you do that, you pump it off your property and you pump it into someone else's. We want real solutions, we want permanent solutions, and we can't do that ourselves.
Locals have written to the Hagley Ferrymead Community Board asking for expert help, something which is backed up by their local city councillor.
The real concern is that water every day we leave it every week that goes on, the water can actually do a lot of damage to the ground underneath, and that of course will have a devastating effect on some properties. So there's a lot of angst in the community, and I think what's really important is that we harness as much energy as possible from the authorities into finding out what's going on and then coming up with solutions.
A further meeting about the issue is being organised.
And today residents took the issue to the Hagley Ferrymead Community Board. And flooding has become an issue in other areas of Christchurch as well, with high tide causing flooding around the Avon and Heathcote rivers on Monday evening. Christchurch City Council staff, contractors and emergency services monitored the situation. A number of measures have been put in place to reduce the tidal flooding risk. They include raising the level of stop banks in low-lying parts of Avonside Drive, Loxley Place and River Road. Further work to be completed by the end of July will see the banks raised higher. Repairing damaged stormwater pipes is also ongoing, and sandbagging around street sumps in the worst affected areas has also taken place. There are further warnings to residents to stay away from floodwaters which contain contamination from wastewater overflows that have been released into the rivers in the estuary since the February quake. Coming up after the break, a special announcement from our own All Black, Dan Carter. Welcome back. Christchurch City Libraries took a hit from the quake with only a number still open. However, they served another purpose in the weeks following the quake. Emily Cooper has more.
Christchurch's libraries have come in useful in more ways than one since February's quake. A number of undamaged libraries were used by the City Council, and some libraries are now providing a study centre for quake-affected secondary school students. Libraries and Information Manager at the Christchurch City Council, Carolyn Robertson, says the libraries were extremely useful following the quake.
Well, we didn't have libraries open straight away, as you can imagine, so all the libraries initially the buildings had to be thoroughly assessed to make sure that they were safe to open. So it was a gradual return to business, is probably the short way of saying it. And actually it was our Banks Peninsula libraries that got back up and running almost. I think they were just about the first ones because they weren't as affected in that area. But really we're up to the stage now where we've got 14 libraries open across the city and Banks Peninsula, which I think is fantastic. And our customers are just flocking in. They're really, really keen to be using the libraries, and I think to get some normalcy back and just to get back to doing the sort of things they used to do. So the libraries are working hard. What I would say to people is check out the website, christchurchcitylibraries.com. To get the detail of the libraries that are open, and it's a good way to check too to see when as soon as we know that libraries are coming back on stream, we let people know. So we've got a little temporary library going at Linwood, which we're calling Linwood Mini, which is in Smith Street where the Christchurch City Council Service Centre is, and that's because Linwood Library, our main library in Linwood, is going to be closed probably for another couple of months. I think it needs some fairly major building repairs, so it's great to have a little temporary service going in that area.
There are now 14 libraries open around the area.
We've actually got 3 libraries which are still being used for essential council services. So 3 libraries really on the western side of the city that weren't badly affected. Had staff moving into them straight away to continue doing the absolutely vital work that the city needs to do. So we're obviously very keen to get those buildings back as soon as those staff can move back into the civic offices in the city, and we're expecting that'll be sometime in July.
And there are alternatives for those whose usual library is in the red zone.
We said to everybody, you don't need to worry about returning your books until the 1st of May. And in actual fact, we've extended the return date. I think it's now the 18th of May. Again, the details on the website. So that just don't worry about it. Hold on to your stock. Hold on to our stock, I should say. It was a key message for us. But also because of the libraries, the 14 libraries that are open, you can return your books anywhere to any open library. So it didn't matter if it's the one, for example, Central. If you couldn't get to Central because of the cordon and the library being closed, you could take it to Shirley or to Bishopdale or wherever. Yeah, so we've just tried to keep getting these messages out there because it's amazing how much people worry about returning their books. I think we've done a good job of kind of instilling in people they need to bring their books back. So people worry about it, they worry about their fines, and we're saying don't worry about it after the quake. You've got lots of other things to worry about.
And Linwood Library, or Linwood Mini, is open in temporary premises at the Linwood Service Centre on Smith Street. It offers a small collection and some public computers. It's also been used Monday to Friday in the mornings as a student centre. These centres provide a supervised place for students to study and are aimed at students at colleges which have been temporarily relocated to another site or are co-located with another school because of earthquake damage.
All Black Dan Carter made a special announcement this afternoon about his playing future. Pete Smith went along to see what all the fuss is about.
On a magnificent Canterbury day in the glorious setting of Clearwater Golf Club, we're going to go to a press conference of Dan Carter. And I know, like all Cantabrians, we're hoping that the news from Dan Carter matches the day we've turned on for it. Let's hope Dan will continue as a Canterbury, Crusader and All Black number 10 for years to come. No French for him, we hope. Let's go and find out now what Dan Carter's future holds for him.
I'm really happy to announce that I've re-signed with New Zealand Rugby for another 4 years. It's been a pretty tough decision, one that I've been chewing over for the last probably 6 months, but really relieved and really excited, about re-signing with New Zealand. So looking forward to the challenges ahead, and it's a pretty special moment, really.
We're tremendously excited to sit here today and be able to announce that Dan is staying. He's, I think in most people's opinion, the best player currently in his position and likely to now be, I think, one of the greatest All Blacks of our time. So to have him stay is a big day for New Zealand Rugby, big day for the All Blacks, and certainly will help us both on and off the field over the next 4 years. So we're really delighted, and I think we should probably consummate.
Obviously, when you're looking at making a big decision like this, there is a lot of speculation and a lot of talk, and to kind of have that all put behind me now is a huge relief and something I'm really excited about. I have great security in my life moving forward, and I love my time here in New Zealand. I guess the one underlining factor is the black jersey. It means a lot to me, and the more I sort of thought about potentially playing overseas and not being able to represent my country and wear that black jersey, it was pretty challenging. So it's a big reason for me staying. I didn't want to rush into anything because it was such an important decision for me and my family. So I guess that's why it took so long. When I've been working on things since the end of last year. So it was a big weight off the shoulders to finally make that decision, but all the same, I think I made the right decision, no doubt in that, and really, really happy and excited. With a 4-year deal, it's a long time, so there is a bit of flexibility in that contract with the sabbatical, which I'm really thankful. The rugby union have thought outside the square and come up with some good options. Because in that 4 years, a lot can change, and so I'm grateful, and it's another sabbatical in this contract, but whether I take that up, I haven't really thought about it too much.
We'll hold the position of confidentiality around the details of this contract, but we've said all along that we can't compete on the numbers with the international offers, and I think Dan's made a pretty sharp point for all of us, really, in that the jersey is pretty important in his decision, and so our policy to retain the rule, if you like, that to be selected for the All Blacks, you've got to be here playing in our domestic competitions and available in New Zealand for the All Blacks is a pretty important one. So that's been sort of brought home by this decision.
My parents, they've been up to speed with what I've been thinking, and I said, I've been chewing over this decision, for a good 6 months, and it's been really tough. One day I'll be keen to go, the other I want to stay. So to make this decision is a sort of sigh of relief, but really excited, and obviously it's not all about me. I've got a partner or fiancée now, so she's been involved in the decision as well. Mum and dad, people that I really sort of look up to. The coaches, chatting with Steve a few times as well. So The last time Dan committed to us, we had some players that were on the edge, if you like, about whether to stay. If you retain the best number 10 in the world in your ranks, then it makes it a lot easier for other guys to make that call from a playing perspective. So
we're hoping it'll be a pickup, but we're working pretty hard with a number of guys right now, and as we've been releasing news over the last few weeks, we're making some progress.
It's a home, there's no better place in the world, so to now know, this is what I'm doing, for my future is fantastic, and I can go on with enjoy my life and playing some good rugby.
And teams competing in this year's condensed and revamped ITM Cup will be allowed an extra reserve in the bench and to stay on the road between some midweek and weekend fixtures. The New Zealand Rugby Union has released a revised draw to sort out things, as some venues won't be available.
Here we are now at Rugby Park, and Rugby Park is going to actually change. It used to be just a club field and predominantly the Crusaders' home training ground and the ITM Canterbury side. They trained here. Well, now, of course, with what's happened to AMI Stadium, this has become the big one. So, what has to happen? I've gone to the head groundsman who loves this park, knows every blade of grass in it, Kevin Tucker. Kevin, you'll be a bit busier coming up to the season.
I think I will be, Pete. I'm sure I will be, this ITM Cup.
So what's planned, mate? We're going to get all the games here?
We're going to have all the games, yes. We're going to have 2 Shield games. The first one's a Wednesday, I think. And then we're playing the Southland about 3 weeks later for a Shield game. And if the sun's out, we could be embarrassed with the crowd.
Yeah, you're a great man for afternoon rugby. Of course, it has to be afternoon rugby, doesn't it?
Yes, the lights aren't up to standard, so it has to be played in the afternoon. And it's exciting.
Can you remember the last time Rugby Park was actually full?
Yes, it goes way back to when Andrew Mertens played his first game for Canterbury against Wellington here one night, and the place was absolutely chocker.
So what are we talking about? How many do you reckon you can get in here?
Well, I think we're talking about 7,000 to 8,000 with the seating around the back and around at the ends of the fields and the stands. We could get up to 7,000 to 8,000.
That would be great, but of course, I wonder how Sky feel about it, where the glamour team's playing afternoon rugby, which they don't ever want afternoon rugby, do they?
No, they don't. They've always been one for nights, but afternoon, if the sun's out, afternoon rugby is the game.
If we get a wet winter, though, is that going to really put a strain on the park here?
No, I don't think so. Once we get all the seating and everything in with the trucks, which worries me a wee bit, once they're in, the seating's in, we should be okay.
Some talk about parking maybe at Melbourne Park.
There is talk of parking at Melbourne Park with even barbecues, we hope.
Well, that's good, and I mean that's a start. But who will train on here then, Kevin?
Well, the Canterbury team will still be training here. The Crusaders will still be training here until they finish. I think they finish about the time the ITM Cup starts. I think.
So is there any club rugby to be played here or not?
No, there's no more club rugby. We only have one game this season, and I think that's the lot.
So it is still an awful lot of rugby when you take in training days and nights as well as games. You're going to be busy keeping it in good order.
It's going to be hard. Once the winter sets in, we'll have to sort of look after a wee bit. We might have to even transfer the odd training session if need be.
Yeah. Have you got other grounds around that you can use?
Only Melbourne Park next door, but we have got some other grounds. I suppose they can go to Hagley Park if they wish somewhere else. Right. But Melbourne Park seems to be all right.
So you're going to get some more staff?
Oh, I suppose we'll have to have a wee bit more assistance, cleaning up and all the rest of it. We'll have some clubs coming in on the day afterwards to clean the field up, I think, yes.
Yeah, but you'd be a bit tough. I mean, there wouldn't be many people want to work under you, would there?
Oh, no, I'm a hard man. I'm a terrible hard man.
And you love this piece of green turf, don't you?
Oh, I love it. I've been here for 20-odd years now, so I feel like it's part of me, but unfortunately I don't have any, mate.
You're about 85, you should have retired, you still keep going.
I still keep going, that's right.
You come in most days, I presume, Kevin?
I do, most days, except the Sundays, Saturdays and Sundays.
Right. So the wonderful, the upgrade of the ground, though, thank goodness it was done.
Yes, we were lucky we had the field. We didn't do too bad after the earthquake. We didn't do too bad at all. The field was quite good.
Are the stands cleared, or the one stand you've got, that's okay, is it?
Yes, all okay by engineers, yes.
Now, remember this was going to be pulled down, was going to be a housing development scheme, one of the wild, wacky schemes that the Rugby Union came up with?
A few years ago it was. It never happened, thank goodness.
We'd be in deep stuck now, mate, wouldn't we?
We would. We'd have no ground. So.
All right, so you've got an exciting season coming up, and it sounds exciting actually for the Canterbury fans. I know a lot of you out there think, there should be more afternoon rugby. Well, Well, here's your chance. Afternoon footy will be at Rugby Park. Be a bit of a bottleneck to get round here, but in my case I can walk, so I'm quite happy.
The NZRFU has also announced the top-level women's rugby returns to the calendar with a 6-team series kicking off at the end of July. Coming up after the break, keeping warm this winter, and of course your local weather forecast. Welcome back. Keeping warm will be a huge issue this winter, particularly with so many homes damaged and without heating sources. Bede Martin with the Community Energy Action Charity Trust spoke with Canetta Knight on City Life about the issue.
Yes, there's a lot of things. I mean, people are in so different circumstances this year to what they were last winter, aren't they? And the issues they're facing about keeping warm are huge for a lot of people. But yeah, there's a variety of hints, and I guess I could start listing them, but a good place to go to would be to our website, where there's a page specially set up for people who've had earthquake damage and what they can do. And it ranges from things like cheap ways of draft stopping, so you cut the drafts out of your house, through to heating solutions.
Okay, so what exactly does Community Energy Action do?
Our overall purpose is to help people find energy solutions for their household energy problems. So under that we do a whole range of different programs, from installing insulation and heating under the government subsidy program, of which we did 20% of the work in Canterbury since the program started. We're pretty proud of that. Through to we provide advice to people through our 0800 service. We have various programs targeting people on low incomes, and we sell a range of low-cost products such as a window insulation pack, which can be as efficient as double glazing but a considerable amount cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are the services that you offer or show people where to go to?
We provide the services in most cases, although if there's a better option somewhere else, we'll refer people to the appropriate provider.
And now here's Sasha with your weather forecast.
Hi everyone, nice to see a good dose of sunshine today. A cold southwesterly airflow is responsible for those cool temperatures. The day's highs range between 9 and 13 degrees. Fine Thursday ahead tomorrow for Kaikoura, with clear skies, cool temperatures and moderate southwesterly winds. Down to freezing tonight, then it's a high of 13 tomorrow. Down to -3 overnight tonight, then it's a fine Thursday ahead in Hanmer with clear skies, cool temperatures and moderate southwesterly winds. 11 degrees is your expected high. A fine Thursday with plenty of sunshine for North Canterbury, which should take the edge off the chilly southwesterly breeze. 14 is your expected high. Fine weather and cool southwesterly winds in Christchurch tomorrow, with frosts overnight tonight. 13 is your high for the day. After a frosty start to the day, it'll be fine and sunny with cool southwesterlies in Ashburton. 13 is your Thursday high. Nice clear skies for Timaru. Moderate southwesterlies keep temperatures low with a high of 13 degrees, again down to freezing overnight. Looking to other areas now, Culverden, Darfield and Methven all reach -3 overnight tonight. Arthur's Pass down to -4. It's a sunny day, however, which will warm things up a bit. Some cloud persists there in Greymouth. Looking to Friday and Saturday, it's expected to be mostly fine both days, with light northeasterly winds developing. Thanks everyone, we'll see you tomorrow.
That's CTV News. I'm Rob Cope-Williams.
supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.